Yes, we have identified failures in different stages.
Chief Executive John Lee orders an independent committee to review the Tai Po fire, demands accountability and vows systemic reforms. Death toll from the Wang Fuk Court fire rises to 156, and families hold rituals and memorials on the 7th day after the tragedy. And the government says the LegCo election will go ahead as planned, citing the need for a functioning lawmaking body after the fire. Good evening, you're watching Cable News. I'm Quentin Yang. Chief Executive John Lee has ordered to set up an independent committee chaired by a judge to review the cause of the deadly blaze in Tai Po and pledged to reform the supervisory regime as he admitted shortcomings in the current system. Bess Luan has more.
Speaking to the press before the Executive Council meeting 1 week after the blaze, Chief Executive John Lee first expressed his gratitude towards firefighters who had risked their lives to rescue people. The city leader announced that a judge-led independent committee would be established, so review of the cause of the fire and how to prevent similar tragedies from happening again in the future could proceed in high efficiency amid ongoing criminal investigations by enforcement agencies. Lee highlighted 8 areas requiring scrutiny, including supervision of construction works, conflicting roles in the process, a list of materials that are up to par, and the role and responsibilities of regulators. He pledged that such results would be made public. Asked if there were loopholes in the regulatory regime, Lee condemned those involved in the tragedy for conspiring to break the law, prompting investigators to conduct a full probe. In the face of the deadliest incident yet since Hong Kong's handover, the city chief was questioned about where his responsibilities lie.
Can you tell us why you deserve to keep your job?
Yes, it is a tragedy. It is a big fire. Yes, we need a reform. Yes, we have identified failures in different stages. That is exactly why we must act seriously to ensure that all these loopholes are plugged so that those who are responsible will be accountable.
Bess Luan, Cable News.
The death toll from the Tai Po estate fire has risen to 156, with 30 people still unaccounted for. On the 7th day after the deadly blaze, families of the victims held memorial ceremonies. Meanwhile, authorities will arrange for residents of the unaffected Wang Chi house to return home briefly to collect important personal effects. Jeremy Zhu reports.
As search efforts by the victim identification officers continue, work in the 2 remaining buildings, Wang Cheng House and Wang San House, is now 40% and 90% complete, respectively. All the follow-up work is expected to finish within 3 weeks. Amy Lam, regional commander of the New Territories North for the police, explained that after the search, forensic work follows, along with external surveys and potentially the creation of 3- or 4-dimensional models to reconstruct the disaster scene. She added that designated personnel will collect scaffold netting, as it is important evidence for the investigations. As for the unaffected Wang Chi house, which has been sealed off since the fire, residents will be allowed a single visit to their flats on Wednesday and Thursday from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. with the assistance of social workers. Each household may send up to 2 people inside for a maximum of 90 minutes to retrieve belongings. Earlier, marking 1 week since the fire, families of the victims gathered at the estate for memorial ceremonies. Rituals were conducted in both Buddhist and Taoist traditions to honor the deceased. as family members laid flowers and bowed in tribute. The family and friends of fallen firefighter Ho Wai-ho were also at the scene, as well as over 100 firefighters. Meanwhile, at the Kowloon Funeral Parlor, a hall was opened for the public to pay their respects. Visitors brought flowers, signed books of condolence, while volunteers folded paper lotus flowers and ingots as offerings. Buddhist and Taoist chanting ceremonies were held in the afternoon and evening. Jeremy Zhu, Cable News.
Meanwhile, the city leader confirmed that the Legislative Council election will proceed as scheduled on Sunday, stressing a functioning legislature is crucial in addressing the city's needs in the wake of a deadly fire. Separately, Chief Secretary Eric Chen pledged that relief efforts for fire victims will not be slowed down, nor will they delay the upcoming elections, asserting that both critical tasks must proceed on dual tracks. Jimmy Liu reports.
The decision follows a 5-day pause last week for all promotional activities and candidate forums after the Wang Fuk Court blaze. Li emphasized that holding the vote as scheduled is a responsible attitude that respects the constitutional order and is crucial for maintaining social stability. Directly linking the election to the city's recovery, Li said he urgently needs new legislative partners to approve funding and enact laws for relief and reform. Letting the new term of legislators take office as soon as possible will allow us to push forward post-disaster priorities more quickly, he said. He argued that legislators who experienced a shared tragedy would collaborate better with the government to advance necessary changes. Authorities have moved swiftly to adjust electoral activities in accordance. Chief Secretary Eric Chen announced the remaining 8 candidate forums will resume tomorrow and the following day. 4 forums will be held each day, with a new segment allowing candidates to comment on the relief efforts of the Tai Po fire. Meanwhile, the Registration and Electoral Office has reassigned 3 polling stations within the Tai Po district, while arranging shuttle buses for residents to vote at new locations, according to Chen. Jamie Liu, Cable News.
More than 230 Filipino and Indonesian domestic helpers have been affected by the devastating Tai Po fire, including 10 who died and dozens others still missing. In addition to statutory compensation, they will receive financial relief from the Hong Kong government via their respective consulates. Jimmy Liu again has the details.
Speaking after meeting with Philippine Secretary for Migrant Workers Hans Leo Kadak, the city's labor chief Chris Sun said at least 235 helpers were affected by the blaze, including 94 Filipino and 141 Indonesian nationals. He expressed condolences to helpers who lost their lives in the fire and pledged to provide assistance, including financial support.
Apart from the statutory compensation, which will be over 500,000 Hong Kong dollars, they will also be receiving a one-off financial assistance of 200,000 Hong Kong dollars, plus another 50,000 Hong Kong dollars of support. So adding all together, for foreign domestic helpers who died at the fire, they will be receiving roughly 800,000 Hong Kong dollars.
Sun said injured helpers will receive $50,000 to $100,000 in financial aid depending on the length of their hospital stay, and all those who survived will be given $20,000 in condolence payment and an octopus card with $2,000. Sun said the Labor Department will work with immigration officials to provide flexible assistance to affected helpers, including reissuing documents and application fee waivers. Jamie Liu, Cable News.
The construction industry has pointed out there exists a gray area in ensuring fire safety for engineering materials, as a government investigation uncovered substandard non-fire retardant scaffold netting was used at the Wang Fuk Court maintenance site. Jeremy Zhu reports.
Police and the Independent Commission Against Corruption collected 20 samples of scaffold netting at the fire-ravaged estate. Tests revealed 7 of them failed to meet fire retardant standards. Speaking on radio, Lawrence Ng, permanent honorary president of the Hong Kong Construction Subcontractors Association, said to his knowledge, the authorities have no mandatory requirement for laboratory testing of material safety on repair sites. Ensuring the safety or quality of materials is left to contractors and consultants. As testing requires a significant amount of time, very often they just visually check for fire retardancy or rely on paperwork. Speaking on the same program, engineering sector lawmaker Wang Fuk argued for a risk management system to assess which materials can be approved by documents alone and which require physical testing. Low also highlighted that building repair sites are more hazardous than typical construction sites because residents remain inside, stressing the importance of meticulous planning, urging prior fire risk assessments. Also, he questioned the logic of the Wang Fuk Court's approach of simultaneously sealing off all 8 blocks for repairs, suggesting a phased approach would be safer. Jeremy Zhu, Cable News.
In other news, police have arrested a 50-year-old man for alleged murder and arson following a deadly fire at a public housing estate in Tuen Mun early this morning. Emergency services were called to a flat in Wang Fuk House on Ting Estate at around 7 a.m. after a security guard reported smoke and flames. Firefighters broke inside to extinguish the blaze and discovered the suspect and a female victim lying unconscious. The two were believed to be a couple, and the wife was found with knife wounds and burn marks on her face. She was rushed to hospital in a coma, but was later pronounced dead. The husband, who sustained hand injuries, was arrested at the scene. He remains under police guard in hospital. The case has been transferred to the Tuen Mun District Crime Unit for full investigation. The government has formally banned the operation of the Hong Kong Parliament and the Hong Kong Democratic Independence Union with immediate effect. Exercising powers under the Safeguarding National Security Ordinance, the Security Bureau published a ban in the Government Gazette, immediately prohibiting the two groups from operating within the territory. Authorities state the ban was necessary to protect national security. The government has warned that any association, including membership, participation in activities or meetings, or encouragement of others to join is a criminal offense. Conviction carries severe penalties of up to 14 years in prison and a fine of $1 million. Police have vowed strict enforcement and urged the public to avoid association with the banned groups. The government had notified both organizations last week and allowed 7 days for representations. While submissions were received from the Hong Kong Parliament, none came from the Hong Kong Democratic Independence Union. Authorities accuse both overseas-based groups of seeking to subvert state power, citing alleged goals such as promoting self-determination for the SAR and creating a local constitution to undermine established systems. The China Coast Guard has expelled a Japanese fishing vessel for illegally entering the territorial waters of the Diaoyudao Islands this morning. According to CCG spokesperson Liu Dejun, its vessels took necessary control measures, issued warnings, and drove the Japanese boat away in accordance with the law. Liu stressed that the Diaoyudao and its affiliated islands are China's inherent territory. He urged Japan to immediately cease all acts of infringement and provocation in these waters. Despite an alternative narrative from the Japanese side, the Chinese spokesperson reaffirmed that the CCG will continue its rights protection law enforcement operations there to safeguard China's sovereignty and maritime interests. Now let's take a look at the stock market. The Hang Seng Index closed 61 points higher. Top active stocks of the day: Alibaba was up $2.10. Meituan was down $3.05. Xiaomi was up 40 cents and BYD was up $2.15. On to the weather now, mainly cloudy. 1 or 2 rain patches tonight and tomorrow morning. Temperatures will fall progressively from 23 degrees to a minimum of around 19 degrees. becoming brighter gradually with slightly cooler mornings in the following couple of days. Fine and dry over the weekend to early next week. And that's our news tonight. I'm Quentin Yang. Thank you for watching. Good night.